Adjunct Professor Moran, Microeconomics 112. In our last session, we practiced calculating costs, and we introduced the concept of long-run equilibrium, which happens at average total cost minimum. From the numbers we calculated, we derived the supply curve of the individual firm, which happens when price is greater than average variable cost. When price is less than average variable cost, firms shut down. At price equal to or greater than average variable cost, firms will loss minimize or profit maximize. So that's why this is the supply curve of the individual firm. Knowing the number of firms in the industry, we can take the individual supply curve and develop the market supply curve. We can develop what the current equilibrium is by comparing the quantity demanded, which will be given to us, by the quantity supplied in the industry, which we derived. Once we have that, we can determine whether an industry is in long-run or short-run equilibrium by determining whether there is or isn't an economic profit or loss. If there is or isn't an economic profit or loss, then the firm is not in long-run equilibrium. Because there are no barriers to entry, if there's an economic profit, firms will enter the industry, shifting the supply curve to the right, driving down price and increasing quantity. If there's an economic loss, firms will leave the industry, shifting the supply curve to the left, causing market quantity to fall and price to rise. These will eliminate the economic profits and losses and result in a long-run equilibrium where we have our identity: price equals marginal revenue equals average revenue equals demand, because the perfect competitor has a purely elastic demand curve taken from the market equilibrium. We set that equal to marginal cost. That gives us the best outcome, either profit max, loss min, or shut down. And in the long run, we have average total cost min, which will result in neither an economic profit nor an economic loss for the firm, but the individual firm will receive a normal profit, which is an amount necessary. It's an implicit cost and is necessary to induce a person to leave a position, say as a worker, and undertake the additional responsibilities as an entrepreneur. Before we do this graphically and numerically again in our next worksheet, let's review some basic information to make this happen. So let's put everything we've been learning together so far in this chapter on pure competition. We're no longer using the total revenue, total cost approach to determine profit maximization. Using the marginal cost, marginal revenue approach, we can determine profit maximization. We can also determine loss min, shut down. So we're going to use the marginal cost, marginal revenue approach to price quantity determination by a purely competitive industry. The first thing we want to do is a two-step process. We want to find marginal revenue, which also equals price equals demand equals average revenue, because of the perfectly elastic demand curve a purely competitive firm has. We want to set that equal to marginal cost. That's going to give us the price quantity combination that firm will produce. Now, in the long run, these are also going to equal average total cost min. That's going to eliminate economic profit and loss. It will leave the firm with a normal profit. Once we've found the price quantity combination, we want to determine whether the firm is profit maximizing, loss minimizing, or shutting down. To do that, we now have to include in our analysis, besides price, we have to include average total and average variable cost. If price is greater than average total cost, the firm is making an economic profit. But if price is between average total cost and average variable cost, then the firm is losing money because its price is less than average total. But because the price is greater than average variable cost, the firm will remain open because it can make a profit on its variable inputs, which will help to pay down its fixed cost, which it will incur if it closes down. So by making profit on the variable cost, it will reduce its loss below its average fixed cost, which it would incur if it didn't remain open and loss minimize. However, if the price falls below average variable cost, then the firm will shut down, because not only will it incur its fixed cost, it will also lose money on every variable input it allows into the factory. So for example, if its variable cost, average variable cost is $11 and it's only selling some for $10, it'll lose an additional $1 on each unit in, contributing to a greater loss than fixed. So the firm will minimize loss by closing down and incurring its fixed cost. If firms make an economic profit, price greater than average total cost, or an economic loss, average variable cost less than price, less than price and price less than average total cost, and there are no barriers to entry, as is the case under conditions of pure competition, then the number of firms will change, shifting the supply curve. This will happen until price equals marginal revenue equals average revenue equals demand equals marginal cost are standard decision criteria, and in the long run that will continue until all of these are equal to average total cost min. That is a long-run equilibrium. There will be no economic profit or economic loss. Graphically, it will look like this. If there is an economic, if the firm is profit maximizing, it is achieving an economic profit. These graphs are all the same. The only thing that's changing is where the price is. If price is greater, find price equals marginal cost, find the quantity. At this quantity line, find where average total cost is. Price greater than average total cost, the firm is making this much profit per unit on this many units. The shaded area is its economic profit. New firms will join the industry, shifting the supply curve to the right, causing price to fall and quantity to increase, equilibrium quantity. In a counterintuitive way, all the market quantity is increasing, the amount provided by each individual firm is falling. As price declines, using the marginal cost curve as the supply line for the individual firm, as price declines, they'll fall down this marginal cost curve at lower prices. Because after all, supply is a negative relationship between price and quantity supplied. But the amount of firms that join the industry, although each firm is making less, will cause the quantity in the market to rise. If the firm is loss minimizing, it's making an economic loss. Now price equals marginal cost. Go down to quantity and you will find that the price is between average total cost and average variable cost. Since price is less than average total cost, this dark area, this dark rectangle, going from price to average total cost, is an economic loss, the dark area. This will cause firms to leave the industry. The supply curve will shift to the left. The new equilibrium will result in a higher price and a lower quantity. In a counterintuitive way, although the quantity in the market is falling, the quantity supplied by each individual firm is rising because the price will be going up. The firm will be riding up its marginal cost curve, its supply curve, and at higher prices will be induced to produce more output. If, though, we're in a long-run equilibrium, then price equals marginal cost, and that will happen at average total cost min. There will be a triple equality here. And there will be no reason, since there's no economic profit or loss, for firms to enter or leave the industry, and that is a long-run stable equilibrium. Let's practice with this information in our next handout. Short-run and long-run competitive equilibriums, and how we will move from a short-run equilibrium where there is either an economic loss or an economic profit to a long equilibrium where price will equal marginal cost equals average total cost min, where there is no economic profit or loss. There are currently 1,000 producers of grebes. The demand for grebes is shown here for the market. Okay. So, given the market, here we go. Okay, current 1,000 producers of grebes. Okay, we need to derive the market supply curve. We're going to do that by using the individual firm supply curve. And the individual firm supply curve starts where price is greater than or equal to average variable cost min. Here is average variable cost minimum. Remember that the average total cost and average variable cost crosses the marginal cost curve at its minimum. The firm will not produce here. This is shut down. Price below average variable cost. So the individual firm supply curve is the marginal cost curve, price equals marginal cost, above average variable cost min. This will be shut down because price is less than average variable cost. Above average total cost, this is profit maximizing. So at 50 cents, there will be 4. At 75 cents, there will be 5. Now we're multiplying this by 1,000 because originally they're stipulating 1,000 firms. 1,000,000 is a million. At $1, there's 6. At $1.25, there's 7. $1.50, 8. $1.75, 9. We connect this, and now we have the market supply curve. From this, we determine that the current equilibrium is 6 million. At $1. At $1, each firm will produce 6,000. So, the price received by each producer will be $1. The quantity produced by each grebe producer will be 6,000. The average cost, the average total cost, read from this. So you find price equals marginal cost of $1, 6,000, go down until you get the average total cost curve, go over, and that is approximately 80 cents. The economic profit or loss for each grebe will be $1 minus average total cost of 80 cents will be 20 cents per grebe. The economic profit will be profit per grebe times the number of grebes, and that will be 1,200. Is this in long-run equilibrium? No, because there is an economic profit which will induce firms to enter this industry because there are no barriers to entry. In the long run, what is the equilibrium price in this market? To understand that, we need to remember that in the long run, price will equal marginal cost. That's our standard decision criteria. But in the long run, these will also equal average total cost min. Going to our producer curve, we see that average total cost min is where average total cost crosses the marginal cost curve. And that happens at 75 cents and 5,000 units. So the long equilibrium price will be 75 cents and there will be 5,000 units produced. What will be the total market quantity of grebes? Okay. The total market quantity of grebes at 75 cents where each firm is producing 5 and there are 1,000 firms, will be here at 8,000, 8 million. Right? We take the equilibrium price of 75 cents, go over and we discover that that's going to happen at where it intersects the demand curve here. That gives us a market quantity of 8 million. So the supply curve is shifted to the right because there's an economic profit. Now, what will the total number of firms be? Well, if the quantity in the market is going to be 8 million, right? We got that because we know that average total cost, minimum, marginal cost, and price are all equal at 75 cents for the individual firm. Projecting that 75 cents back at the market, we see that that will intersect the demand curve at 8 million. 8 million quantity supplied, demanded. Now, if each firm is only supplying 5,000, then dividing 8 million by 5,000, this is each firm, that will give us 1,600 number of firms. Okay. Now, here is another problem. And in this problem, they've shifted the curves and there will be an economic loss. If you like, go ahead and practice this one. Here are the answers. So you can go ahead and call up the worksheet online. And here are the answers. I will shift out just a little bit. And now everything fits on the screen and you can pause it to see if you got the same answers. Otherwise, go back and review the first part of the problem that we did together.